This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. The X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. The show is then repeated in its entirety on the Talkstar Radio Network, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free worldwide number is 1-800-610-7010. That's our email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. It is Thursday, March the 18th in the year 2010, and my first guest on tonight's show is Kate Mucci. And Kate is a harp player, author, and co-producer and host of Matrix TV News, a weekly one-hour alternative news magazine airing on America One Network in the U.S. and on Controversial TV in the U.K. Now, being on the air since August 2001 has given Kate an inside track with many of the foremost researchers in the fields of alternative or real history, health, freedom, and many environmental issues, including the mysterious and dangerous chemtrails. And that's what we're going to be talking about this hour in the X-Zone with our guest, Kate Mucci, is chemtrails. And Kate, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you very much. I'm honored.
Kate, where did your interest in chemtrails come from?
Probably from being sprayed overhead. I noticed in the last 10, 12 years, about 12 years ago, I guess I was in New Mexico on a beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon, and I'm watching as I'm sitting outside reading, and I look up, and I see these planes going overhead in this what was a beautiful blue sky, and they created over my head a grid. And as I watched, this grid became a cloud cover, and I realized right then and there's something very fishy going on, and I started, looking into it. And then when we started Matrix TV, well, it was called Out There when it was originally started in 2001, I took that opportunity to learn as much as I could from as many people as I could about what was happening in the skies.
Mm-hmm. Why, after all these years of people talking about chemtrails, the conspiracy and the cover-up still continues. Why?
Well, boy, if I knew that answer, I'd be a very famous or rich person. I'm not sure what. I think part of it is that we are dealing with a program. It seems to be geoengineering. It seems to be, from the most that I can understand, while some people think that it is perhaps somehow connected to population control, I'm not 100% convinced of that. But geoengineering has something to do with weather control, perhaps something to do with global warming, trying to create some kind of a shield. Whether global, I don't believe that global warming is real, and it's certainly not man-made. But if that's what they're trying to affect somehow, then there would be a reason not to let people know or to subvert somehow the information, because it might be too, like they say, we're not supposed to know about aliens, we might freak out. I wonder if that might be the case. And also I think it's just inaction. People are so, there's a whole generation of people now who are adults who don't know what real skies look like. They have no clue what a real blue sky looks like. And I think part of it is just inertia. That's one of the reasons that it's still not really dealt with properly.
Kate, stand by. You and I have to take our 2-minute break. Kate Mucci is our special guest. MatrixNewsNetwork.com and www.thehealingsoundofmusic.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. It is Thursday, March the 18th in the year 2010. And Kate Mucci and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Don't go away.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. MATSTEIN.com. Kate Mucci's my special guest this hour. www.matrixnewsnetwork.com and www.thehealingsoundofmusic.com. And Kate and I are discussing chemtrails. Now, Kate, what do we know, if anything, about the content of the chemtrails as far as their chemical composition?
We know for sure several things about the content of the chemtrails. There's a researcher in Phoenix, Arizona, who's had the chemtrails analyzed several times. We know there is aluminum. Mm-hmm. We know there is barium. There are, and in levels that are very, very dangerous. So, and these are heavy metals, that can cause all kinds of problems, including Alzheimer's, autoimmune deficiencies. It's just, it's the heavy metals, I think, that are of most concern, although they have also found biologicals, which I'm not sure I understand what that's all about, and that may be where the whole idea of population control comes in. I'm not sure.
Kate, do we know of any specific fatalities that have been directly attributed to chemtrails?
I have not, as a journalist myself, mm-hmm. I'm not convinced that the what I've heard may be fatalities are genuinely connected to them. I can't say yes, although there are, of course, people saying that they think that somebody's died because of it. There was a town up in Washington State where there was an incident of the chemtrails being sprayed for like a week at a time, and then many people got sick, and they claimed that it was from the chemtrails. But, if you don't have access to laboratories to
mm-hmm.
test for what you're saying is the reason, then, you can't prove it.
This same town that had so many illnesses, was there any damage to their crops or to the foliage? And if so, did anyone have the foliage examined?
Well, I don't know about in that case, but I do know that in other cases, there's a lady in California, Rosalind Peterson, mm-hmm. who's with the Agriculture Defense Fund, and they have examined, the effects on crops from the chemical residue. And it's not just the residue itself, because it does affect the soil. It affects the plant's ability to absorb nutrients. But more importantly, the fact that we have a dome over the sky interferes with the photosynthesis of the plants. And that could have very long-range dangerous effects for crops. If they're not able to synthesize the sun and grow, then we're not going to have food.
Is it possible that the powers to be in Washington and the Pentagon have decided that they have to do this in order to mask the availability of spy satellites from unfriendlies as to seeing what the heck we're doing down here?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I haven't heard that before. And it could be because mm-hmm. it certainly does create a grid of interference. I mean, they can use HAARP to focus energies in a certain area depending on where because aluminum is going to act like an antenna mm-hmm. for whatever they're doing. I have not heard that theory before. That's interesting. I'll have to follow up on that one.
How about the connection between chemtrails and Morgellons disease?
That's very interesting. Have you ever talked to Hildegard Staninger, Dr. Staninger?
Many times.
That whole thing where there's some kind of living mechanical intelligence in these, and she seems to believe that it's somehow connected to that, and it may make sense. However, we just interviewed Dr. Fred Bell, and he says that it's not connected with Morgellons, or not. The Morgellons is not connected with chemtrails. That Morgellons is actually, and this is a little out there even for me.
Well,
but
Fred Bell's a little out there.
He talks about the implants that have been, supposedly put into people throughout the ages by aliens, or certainly in the last 40 years. And we haven't heard too much about that lately, have we?
No, we haven't.
Hear about people.
No, right, you don't.
He says.
Yeah, you don't hear about alien implants. You don't hear about cattle mutilation. It seems as if the entire alien scenario is tapering off.
Yeah. Now, the reason Fred says, Dr. Bell, he says that because of the new technology that is in place, they know the mind control technology, they no longer need to implant people. He says that many of the implants, not most, many of them were not actually done by aliens, but by subversive people within the government.
Yeah, but for what purpose? For what purpose?
Here we go again. I wish I knew.
Over the years doing the show, I found a lot of people have a lot of fascinating theories, but when it comes down to proving them, they can't.
Yeah, why? I know. And now the mind control thing, again, I'm going by guess because I'm just a talk show host, kind of like you, although chemtrails I do a lot of research on those on my own. However, this Dr. Fred Bell, he's been around a long time, and he was actually involved in the, mind control research in the beginning. He actually helped develop the mechanical, and, he did the engineering for a lot of this stuff that they used to make mind control work. He says that the reason that, I'm going to go into tangents here.
Sure.
First, let's go to why the Morgellons was connected, and then I'll continue with the other one. But Morgellons is actually a byproduct of these implants breaking down. He says because they're no longer being fed the communication from microwaves or whatever it was that actually fed them. He mentioned it, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. But because they're no longer being utilized, they are breaking down, and that is what is causing the problems with this weird disease and these little fibrous things coming out of the skin. That's what he says.
All right, now I'm just going to ask you a question here. If that is the fact, then why would animals and infants be being diagnosed with Morgellons at this very time?
You know what I'm saying? Now, this is just speculation, pure speculation on my part. But if it's true that this is a self-replicating thing, that it, like Dr. Saniger says, if these are replicating and they can grow, then it seems to me that they would be something you could pass on to someone. That whatever this is a living biomechanical something or other. And if it's true, then it could latch on to basically anything, any host, and then it could replicate within that host. That's pretty scary when you think about it.
Well, I think there's a lot of science fiction involved in this one.
Well, whatever, we know that those fibers are not something that the human body can create.
Well, these fibers, depending who you talk to, certainly have the same characteristics as some fungi that live within the body at times. And as far as the stance that Dr. Hilde takes, there's a lot of questions. Once again, you've got all this hypothesis with no actual proof.
Yeah, but and the killer thing is, I don't think as long as you and I are alive, we're going to get actual proof, because there are too many roadblocks put up, and for the life of me, I don't understand what. Well, if it is a depopulation agenda, maybe that's why. If it is to control people so that they will blindly do as they're told, become little slaves, I don't know. But it certainly seems that we are getting foiled at every turn to try to find answers.
Maybe we're not. Maybe we're looking in the wrong direction, and that these people who are deliberate, or maybe agents of whoever, like Dr. Bell, they could be steering us in the wrong direction instead of in the right direction. Who knows? That's what a conspiracy is all about.
That's right. And it's so fun to go in circles like that, isn't it?
Not really. I mean, it's just like UFOs. I believe that the UFO conspiracy is not being maintained by the government. I believe it's the UFO community itself that is maintaining the conspiracy, because as long as there's a conspiracy in place, no one has to provide any proof or evidence of the existence of UFOs. All they have to do is say, well, the government knows about it, all the information is being suppressed, and any evidence has been seized by the government.
I think that there are certainly people within the UFO community that say that. But on the other hand, there are people who, I mean, there are people that have joined the UFO community, for lack of a better word, because it's such a loosely and very, they infight like any other group.
Sure they do.
You've got people who are actual former government people who say it's the truth and that's there, and I think that is the kind of, you call it exopolitics, maybe, where it's coming out, excuse me. But, anytime you deal with something that you can't put your hands on and prove, with the scientific method, then you're going to have people at each other. Of course, even with the scientific method, you do too. Look at like the whole global warming thing. So
look at the healthcare industry, yeah.
Yes.
I agree with you that there is a certain uncertainty within the UFO community, the ghost community, the paranormal community that I have never seen before. In fact, A&E has dropped 3 or 4 of the shows that they used to have on. They've dropped Paranormal Cops, they've dropped Penn State, they've dropped Psychic Kids because they were going over the fence too far. So A&E said, hey, we're dropping it. That's it. Goodbye. Finish off this season. You're not coming back. So I think the tide is changing. I've seen the tide rise and I've seen the tide fall many times. And I think this time, because of the internet that I call the world's largest septic tank ever created by mankind, a lot of people are claiming to be experts, are claiming to have PhDs, which they don't, claiming to be part of government organizations, which they're not. And the people are getting so fed up, they're saying, you know what? They're all nuts. Goodbye.
Yeah, and that's really dangerous. Because if you dismiss because of a few bad apples and you throw a whole bushel out, you might have missed some really good fruit.
You're darn right. You could have made some applesauce with it. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Kate Mucci's our guest, MatrixNewsNetwork.com and TheHealingSoundOfMusic.com. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues on the Talkstar Radio Network and on the X Zone broadcast.
Experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff.
3 of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people combing through the wooded area. Nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on 2 telephones at the same time.
We've even got some coops in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Grant, he says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help." When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up with Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
there's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
One 800-610-7035 is worldwide toll-free. Email address xzone@xzoneradiotv.com and on MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. I've got some great news, X-Zone Nation. Starting May, I believe the start date is May the 14th, the all-new, you ready for this? New Age channel will be launching here from Relmar McConnell Media Company, and it will be under a new broadcasting corporation that we are launching as well in May, entitled the Angel Broadcast Network. So that's coming up this May. We're going to be having special features about it between now and May. We'll bring on some of the hosts, talk to you about the different programming that is going to be on. It's going to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year, and a number of our broadcast affiliates have already signed up to carry some of the programming, so we're really happy about that. Our special guest this hour is Kate Mucci. And Kate's website is www.matrixnewsnetwork.com and thehealingsoundofmusic.com. We're talking about chemtrails, so we've talked about the Morgellons aspect. Now, when it comes to the hypothesis or the possibilities, Kate, what do you, as an investigative reporter as well as host of your own show, what do you think the purpose of chemtrails really are? Like, I'm not sure they exist, to be honest with you.
They do.
I'm not really sure.
That is one thing I have no doubt in my mind. Firstly, we have government documents that say that they do exist, and they have programs of aerial spraying for weather control, for many things. They've admitted that. And I mean, you can read the papers that have come from the government. There are at least U.S. government. I don't know about Canada. But we do have papers, legislation dealing with it. We have, admission that they are ongoing geoengineering projects. One of the agreed upon, if somebody wants to go to our website, I have a whole page on chemtrails I've put up on our website at matrixnewsnetwork.com, and we have links there to the geoengineering websites, what deals specifically government websites that deal with geoengineering. From what I've been able to collate over these last years, the geoengineering project is designed to deflect sunlight away from the Earth in an attempt to mitigate global warming, which I don't agree has anything to do with human interaction. But anyway, that's what the idea is. They create basically a shield. And this lady, Rosalind Peterson in California, and Bonnie Hoag back east in New Hampshire, they're working together, and they have a website, geoengineeringskywatch.org, I believe it is. It's also on my website anyway. But it's absolutely, that is one of the programs installed for this. And they admit that it's aluminum and barium. Dr. Edward Teller actually created, was behind the initial idea for this. And it goes from there. But it is an actual fact. There is no doubt in my mind that it actually
all right.
exists.
Has there been, what else do we know about the effects that the chemtrails have on people?
Respiratory problems are a big thing, and that I can speak to personally. Mm-hmm. I lived out in Nevada for many years. We did the show out there, and there was a time between 2007 and 2008, well, actually into 2009, just before I moved back here to California, the chemtrails were literally overhead almost daily. Really? It was a very, very rare time when we did not have the chemtrails. I developed personally, and I'm a very healthy, active person, I developed a cough that literally I actually burst a blood vessel in my eye from this cough. And, I have no problems at all, but it lasted basically for 2 years. Since I've moved here, when there aren't quite so many chemtrails, I don't have it. But the bottom line is, I personally have experienced that. I personally have seen animals get sick under these skies. We had a friend who had little dachshund dogs, and dachshunds, 3 of them passed away, all within a week, from upper respiratory infections after a time of exceptionally heavy spraying. We had it for like 2 weeks without a break, day in, day out. At night, we could see them planting the trails under the full moon. You could see them crisscrossing. So I personally, and I know it's just anecdotal, but I have personally seen it, and there's no other reason for it. The vet was, because there are a lot of big animals out where we were, horses and such, the vet was even reporting that huge horses were coming down with really serious infections, and the only thing, there was nothing in the water that they could particularly, they were looking, what's the problem? It wasn't the water. The only thing it could be was the air, because it was the only common denominator.
Well, if the spray would have come down to a point where it would have affected the respiratory tract of these animals as well as humans, how come trace elements weren't found in the water?
Oh, I don't know if trace elements were found in water. I don't believe anybody tested at that time. But not in the community where I was anyway.
Is there any place is there any place in the United States where chemtrails are not occurring?
Not that I'm aware of. It seems like it's everywhere. We get emails and letters from people, because our show is syndicated all across the country and in Europe as well. Mm-hmm. And we get emails ourselves with photographs from literally everywhere in the country. I don't know of anywhere that they don't happen. And that would make sense if what they're trying to do, if whoever's doing this, and I say government because, they're putting out papers saying they're geoengineering. If that's what they're really doing, then it would make sense that it would have to be everywhere.
What branch of the government is doing this?
DOD and, not EPA, the Energy, DOE, the Department of Energy. Yeah, go to, if somebody's listening and they want to go to the website, we have it on Matrix News Network under the chemtrails page. I know, it's so bizarre, isn't it?
It is. It really is, because up here in Canada, once again, the conspiracy theory, you don't hear about it. You really don't hear about government conspiracies up here. Chemtrails, very, very, very rarely do we hear about that up here.
Really, that's interesting, because we have viewers, they don't watch this broadcast, they watch us online in Toronto. And there's a whole circle connected up there, and they send us pictures from there all the time about chemtrails.
Toronto, for God's sake, there's 9 airports within the vicinity of Toronto.
Yeah, but you wouldn't see this kind of the kind of tracks that you see from chemtrails would not be the kinds of things you see from commercial planes. From what I've been able to determine, it is not commercial planes that do these at all. It is not like something that, passenger craft.
But a tanker
I know Toronto pretty well. In fact, I'm coming up there in May.
A tanker is just a modified, is just a modified passenger airframe.
Some of them are, yeah.
So why, how would they be able to tell the difference?
Well, because of markings. Commercial jets have to have markings.
Right, and so do military aircraft.
Yeah, but they're going to be different, right? But most of the planes, and we have a group here who they're actually filmmakers, and they've actually gone out with really excellent cameras and filmed some of the planes as they're, tracking out here in California, and there are no markings. They're just white planes. So isn't that kind of weird?
What Air Force?
Planes have to have markings, no tails, no numbers on the tails.
What airports?
Why would that be?
What airports do they fly out of? What airports do they fly out of?
Right here, they're so high up, I don't know where they're coming from. I do not know. It's certainly not Burbank, and it's certainly not LAX. Mm-hmm. They're too high up. I'm guessing New Mexico, but that's just my personal guess.
Tell me, you and I were talking off here about crop circles.
Yeah.
What's the mystery behind crop circles?
I love those things.
There you go. All right, tell us about crop circles.
Well, we just did a show with a filmmaker here in Los Angeles, and she spent from 2003 to 2008 going to England, examining them. There are definitely hoaxers. There are definitely human beings who go out and make them for commercial purposes, including there was a formation done to advertise Hello Kitty. They did a Hello Kitty in the crops. Mm-hmm. And Doug and Dave, who claim they've done all the crop circles, and of course there are literally thousands of them. There's no way they could do them all. But the interesting thing is that when these, what they call genuine crop circles, firstly, they're very much have something to do with sacred geometry. There's something about them that is very mathematical in nature. and there seems to be some kind of geometry connected to humans there. And then the other thing is so they're very exact. But the other thing is the actual crops themselves. I'm sure you've talked about this before, but
sure.
the crops, when they are made by who the mysterious beings who make them, or energies, whatever, they aren't destroyed. When this happens, when the crops are laid down, they do not break.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when humans do them, of course, they break.
Yeah, crop circles certainly are interesting, but once again, they don't happen all over the world.
No, they don't, and it seems to be. And this lady that we interviewed, Suzanne Taylor, by the way, if you ever are interested, she's amazing. She does not get into speculation. She just talks about what they see.
Mm-hmm.
They do happen often. It seems to be where these ley lines on the earth are, and I have to admit, I don't know. I don't understand the whole ley line thing. Why they would be there, but also in England specifically, almost all of the crop circles appear where there are sacred sites, Stonehenge, Avebury. She said that Avebury is amazing. We don't, in America, North America, we don't really understand how big the Avebury circle was, that's like the Stonehenge type circle.
Mm-hmm.
It's much bigger, and in England it's much more famous, and it is in that area that so many of the crop circles appear. So what is that? Why would that be? I love that question.
But don't you find it interesting that crop circles had no appearance until after the airing of The Wizard of Oz?
Oh, no, that's wrong. You're absolutely dead wrong. The crop circles have been around, and they've had pictures, wood cuttings even, showing crop circles like hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
No, I'm talking in the United States.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know about the United States. After what showed up? The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz aired, yeah.
Huh, I did not know that.
What do you think the main purpose of a crop circle is? Do you think it's actually an ET communication?
I'm not sure about ET. I always get kind of nervous when people say ET because that implies someone from outer space.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be a dimensional thing.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to get towards almost the metaphysical because of my personal interest.
Yeah.
And I think that perhaps that might be part of it, but certainly it's not. I think it's good. I think it's, and what Suzanne said, I tend to agree with. When we interviewed her last night, she said, and people also always say, why don't they just come out and tell us what the message is?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if they do that, then we're being taught, we're being told. But if something is given to you as an enigma, then you have a chance to consider it yourself, roll it around in your brain, and consider what it really means, instead of somebody spoon-feeding you.
What that sounds like to me is the people who you ask the question to about why don't they just come out and tell us what they mean? They don't have a real answer, so the one they gave is pretty good.
But remember that one that, I don't know if you are familiar with the glyph that came back as an answer to our Arecibo message out in space? Now, that's a message, because when the crop formation came back,
mm-hmm.
it showed a different DNA sequence, and it showed they were a different size. It showed a bunch of different things, and it corrected something in space, in the universe. So that to me was a little bit more of a direct communication. But like the sacred geometry, again, I like to go metaphysical every once in a while.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exonation, our guest this hour, is Kate Mucci. Her websites are www.matrixnewsnet.com. That's matrixnewsnet.com. Newsnetwork.com, I'm sorry. And thehealingsoundofmusic.com. 1-800-610-7035, toll-free worldwide. Email exxon@exxonradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, exxonradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.exxonradiotv.com. Be sure to listen for more information on the New Age Channel and the Angel Broadcast Network. Coming up soon here by the good people at Relmar McConnell Media Company. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. Kate Mucci's our guest. And Kate, what are your listeners and your viewers saying about 2012, December 21st, 2012? Is it doom and gloom, or is it the rebirth of spirituality?
I think it is an expansion of spirituality, or expansion of our own ability to be beyond this third dimensional thing. We've done a number of shows on 2012. And, a couple of people have said it's just pandemonium and that there are going to be many physical manifestations. I believe that again, taking a survey of the people that we've had on, I believe that there will be some physical manifestations, maybe created by our own people, because they get scared or whatever, But also, it is very much on a spiritual change, and whether or not that's a significant date in terms of reality, like, what does 2012 mean? What is it? Who set that date? Yeah. But it's certainly when you consider the Gregorian calendar and everything. But if all it takes is just thinking, thinking that there will be a change, then you're going to manifest a change. Utah creates. So if people think there's going to be a change, then there will be a change. And we just hope that the people that are thinking strongest are the people who are thinking positive.
Tell me, Kate, metaphysically speaking, why do you think more people are turning to alternative spirituality than ever before in the history of this planet?
I think because people realize that the answers do not lie outside of themselves, that they can't depend on a priest or a preacher or a rabbi to tell them how to connect to a greater source. And I think that's why there's discontent. They're tired of the fights over religion, and I really believe that is why.
Kate, give our listeners your contact information on how they can find out more about you and the TV show that you do.
Sure. The website is the best, matrixnewsnetwork.com, and you can write to me right from there or at thematrixnews@aol.com, or they can check out my personal website, which is thehealingsoundofmusic.com. I'm a harpist, and I do healing work with music.
Music really does heal, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And the more I study in anticipation of my own personal change, the more I realize how powerful it is. It's wonderful.
Hey, Kate, I want to thank you ever so much for joining us this hour. It's been great talking to you. Continued success in the great work that you do. And I look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X Zone.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me on.
All right, you take care of yourself. X Zone Nation, Kate Mucci has been our guest of this hour. Once again, the website information is matrixnewsnetwork.com and thehealingsoundofmusic.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network and the all-new X Zone Broadcast Network. As I said, coming in May from the Relmar McConnell Media Company, the New Age channel on the Angel Broadcast Network. We'll be back on the other side of this break at 6.5 minutes past. Don't go away.